Good morning and welcome to Walking with Watches. This week we have seen two new releases from some of the heavyweights of the watch world. Omega have gone and updated their Planet Ocean, and Tudor have gone and introduced a new size and dial combination to their Ranger line. Let's talk about them both. We'll start with the Tudor because I think it's the Omega that I'm most excited about. Let's get on with it. Come on then, let's go. First up then we have the new Tudor Ranger. A watch which was released a few years ago as kind of Tudor's answer to their bigger brothers, Rolex Explorer. It was available in a 39mm case with a black dial. They have only gone and introduced a new 36mm case with a white dial. Now, I know there's a big space in this world where people turn around and say that Tudor is just an affordable Rolex, poor man's Rolex. They put all these sort of quite offensive slurs in about Tudor. But sometimes Tudor, they don't really help themselves very much if they're trying to stand apart, do they? Because of course the Rolex Explorer is available in a 36mm and a 39mm case, and with the Tudor Ranger line now available in the same, that overlap gets a little bit, they get a little bit close to the mark sometimes, don't they? The Tudor Ranger has introduced this new 36mm case with a new beige dial. And yes, the Tudor website is calling it beige. I have seen some watch press have called it sort of dune white and all this sort of stuff, but the Tudor website calls it beige. And, you know, beige. I mean, is there a more beige colour than beige? You know? So the Tudor Ranger is their answer to the Explorer. It's a field watch, it's a go anywhere, do anything, sort of hard wearing everyday kind of watch. And one of my problems with the Ranger, why I didn't buy one when I tried one on a few years ago, I was actually offered an Explorer once and turned that down as well, but that's another story for another day. What I've always wondered about the Ranger is, who is this watch really for? Now you could say it's an outdoorsy, hard-wearing, everyday kind of tool watch, field watch style of watch. And yeah, okay, you know, fair enough. But in my general experience, most people that do outdoorsy, mountain climbing, hard-wearing sort of activities don't necessarily buy a luxury mechanical watch for that purpose. They tend to go somewhere a little bit different. And someone who wants a luxury watch for their everyday kind of wear, I don't necessarily think that the Tudor Ranger feels exquisite enough in the hand to necessarily justify that tag either. But you could say, well, the Tudor Ranger is lining itself up as an alternative to the Explorer, because after all, that's what Tudor is at its inception, and in some senses is at its core. It's offering a Rolex sort of quality style design at a much more affordable price. And the Rolex Explorer does have a certain magic about it, which I think the Tudor is lacking, but fair enough, it's 3 times the price. Because at these prices, the Tudor Ranger is an excellently well-made watch. It's quite a conventionally handsome watch, even if it's a little underwhelming. It's got a very good movement inside, it's extremely comfortable, and it's, you know, a fraction of the price of the Explorer. But one thing that I do wonder is, Tudor has often used itself as an experiment, as a playground for Rolex. We saw it with their left-hand drives first, we saw it with the introduction of titanium. All of these things were done first in the Tudor range. Now, lots of people in the Rolex sort of Explorer space have been wondering for some time whether they will do what they've done with the Explorer 2 and introduce a black and a white dial variant to the Explorer range. And I can't help but wonder, is the Tudor Ranger, seeing that these two lines sort of do mirror each other quite nicely, is the Tudor Ranger a experiment or an option to see whether that white dial 36mm and 39mm field watch would go down well? Now, I think Rolex can do whatever they want. If they make a white dial Explorer, it will sell irrespective. But the white dial Ranger, is that their way of giving the fans the white dial Explorer that they have no intention of making? Or is it their way of testing the waters to see whether this would be popular? Who knows? Really? Does anyone care? Or am I just going too deep? Next up, we have a watch that I am really very excited about seeing. Interestingly, I do have a content calendar. You might find that quite hard to believe. And this week on the agenda, I was going to talk about Omega. And in fact, I still will. I filmed that video earlier in the week and I think I'm going to put that out on Sunday anyway. So a bit more Omega content to come. But anyway, we'll brush past that. The new Amiga Seamaster Planet Ocean is an update that I think many people saw coming. It was 20 years since the original Planet Ocean launched, and the Planet Ocean range itself has started to feel a little bit tired, like it needed a bit of a facelift. So this release, not unexpected, and actually I think a bit needed, to be honest. And I have to say, they've done a good job of this. This is a watch I really, really like. Shrinking the case down to 42mm, I think will make it more wearable for a larger spectrum of watch wrists. It has to be said, you know, the larger case does lend itself to the larger wrist, and I do see some comments on some of my videos, but also some other people's videos, that the shrinking of case sizes is a little bit irritating to some of the gentlemen out there who do have very large wrists or slightly beefier in build, and that, you know, shrinking everything down is not to their taste. But, you know, we go through these cycles, don't we, in these fashions? And for me, at least, with a sort of 6.5, 6.75 inch wrist, I find this shrinking down of watches actually quite nice, because the Planet Ocean would have been a watch that I can't wear, whereas now it's starting to enter that territory where I can. But specs, let's talk about them. So the new case comes in at 42mm with a thickness of 13.8mm. That is a substantial decrease of 2.3mm on the thickness of the previous generation. What this is going to do is this is going to make the Planet Ocean much more wearable for a lot of sizes. 42mm sits nicely on very large wrists and is at the sort of upper end of wearable for your sort of medium-sized wrist. Yes, okay, fair enough. If your wrist is coming in under 6.5 inches or 6 inches, you know, sort of quite a slim wrist, this watch is still going to be, you know, enormous on you. But it does put it more in the territory of that sweet spot that makes it wearable for everybody. For example, one of my favourite watches of all time is my current Rolex Submariner. 41mm, 12.5 I think thick, with 47.5, something like that, lug to lug. Sorry, 48mm lug to lug. The new Planet Ocean is coming in at 47.5mm lug to lug. So actually the lug to lug width is going to be slightly more wearable than the Submariner. That to me is very interesting. It's going to be slightly thicker than the Submariner, which again, this is going to be a watch that I'm going to need to try on. I'm very excited about this. Of the colourways, you've got the orange bezel, black bezel, blue bezel, with a variety of strap options. The one for me that I think I'm looking forward to trying on most of all will be the orange bezel. The biggest thing that I think is going to shake up this watch in how it rings in the hearts and minds of the watch collector community is the loss of the helium escape valve. Now, I actually have an Amiga Seamaster, an older model, and I don't mind the Seamaster. It gives it a classic silhouette that makes it stand out from every other dive watch on the market. But I understand it's a bit of a love-hate thing, and they've lost it on the new Seamaster Planet Ocean, so fair enough, they finally are offering a Seamaster without the helium escape valve. Also, this new case shape, it's so angular and dynamic. It looks like a Lamborghini. Well, it doesn't, but you know what I mean. It feels like a generational issue. This will be the watch's identity for this generation. Is this case shape and design going to be the template for Planet Oceans going forward? Well, I guess that depends how well it sells, doesn't it? But this current generation I think is my favourite of the Planet Ocean range. I'm very much looking forward to trying this one on. So there we go, 2 new watches, go through them nice and quick. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. The new Tudor Ranger, the new Planet Ocean. Hit me up below, let me know what you think. If there's one of these you're going to buy, what would it be? What would you like to improve? What would you like to see them do next? Are you going to buy one? All that stuff, please do let me know. Because these new releases, it's nice to have a bit of interaction about it. Anyway, you guys take care, peace out, all the best, cheers.